Welcome back to the fastest growing furniture refinishing and restoration channel on YouTube. On today's video, we're going to start it out a little bit different, where I'm going to answer one of your questions right here in depth on the beginning of the episode. Today's, let me grab my question right now. It is, for a beginner who doesn't have an HVLP system, how do you refinish furniture? Well, let me explain something first. What is HVLP? Basically, it stands for high volume, low pressure. Back when I first started, maybe 20 years ago, you could buy one of these guns and you could buy just another standard kind of gun, which was a kind of a high pressure. It had to be pressurized to shoot out the gun, the material. And in that, you're spraying more material out and you're wasting more, meaning it's costing your business a lot of money. A lot of the messages I receive about the HVLP systems are that it's too expensive to get into it. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's fake news. Right here, this gun cost me $189 plus tax from Wood Repair Products, but I was also doing my research from Home Depot, and your Wagner or Graco spray gun that I see a lot of people using still can run $150 to $180 depending on the model that you purchase. So about the same price, and this gun is going to spray much better than any of those systems in my opinion, but a lot of it is not in the gun itself. I can go buy a $20 gun, not 200, this is 200, a $20 gun from Harbor Freight and still do high quality work because it's in the tricks and the ratios and the techniques you learn over decades of refinishing and from tips that I give you in my refinishing guide that will give you the best finish. Your next rebuttal will be, well, an air compressor is too expensive. Let's go over there and talk about that. Now to discuss air compressors. In my shop, it's plumbed with a large, I believe it's an 80-gallon air compressor outside. We had it go out a few months ago. I had the motor rebuilt, and we just haven't had a minute to go out and fully have to rebuild the entire box. So it's just been out of sight, out of mind. We've been running this business for the last 2 months with this 27-gallon air compressor from Home Depot. This one here only cost me around $275 or $300, somewhere in that region, and it operates my refinishing business, which means a 27-gallon would be in excess for you at your shop or your garage. You could probably get away with a 20 or a 15-gallon compressor for small jobs, maybe a cabinet here and there. And like I said, if you add this up with the cost of the spray gun, you're roughly around $500 to get operational with a HVLP system, and it can elevate your refinishing process and the pieces that you put out and make you have much higher quality work. Let's get back to work. The first thing I'm going to start on is this lounge chair, but I just remember that we are going camping with the kids this weekend. The beauty of owning a furniture refinishing business is I have a bunch of scrap wood that I could use for fire pits. Ivan and I are going to hop up there. I'm going to get a lot of this cleaned up, organized. You're going to see that it looks a lot cleaner in about 30 minutes. We're going to do that. Then we'll come back and do the repairs on this Cofemo chair, get it back in the spray booth for a little bit of toner and a second coat of sealer. We'll see you in a minute. So it looks like we have 7 boxes of scrap wood that we've done. I don't know if you can tell in the background, we've cleaned up a little bit, nowhere near what I thought we were going to do today. But I wanted to come on here and maybe break some of your guys' hearts. This is an old piano leg for something, a piano we used to have here. We were going to restore it. The piano's long gone. I've had this sitting in here for 15 years. So now I'm just going to cut it up. We're going to use it as scrap wood. Be really good for a fire. But what I wanted to show you is like how this is constructed. At first glance, it looks like this is solid mahogany. But once we dive into it, I want to show you. I thought it was really cool as I was cutting the rest of it. Let me just line it up. One little piece here. So when you take it apart, you can see how this is all just laminated. It looks like poplar. This is how they build them. They'll put this, build it out of solid wood, and then they're going to put, it looks about like maybe a little bit more than a 1/16 inch of ply, and then they have the nice mahogany veneer, which is probably a 32nd of an inch. But yeah, that's how these guys are built. You can even see I cut right through the dowel, and it actually was a dowel, and it looks like it had a wedge in it too. So when they put this dowel in, this wedge went up into it to tighten it up. It's really well constructed piece. I believe this piano was probably from the 1920s, somewhere in that region. So I'm just going to finish just give it a few more chops, then we'll have a few more little pieces to go in the fire pit later today or later this week. One more. Now we're good. We're ready to go. Come back into the shop with me, and you're going to see the mess that we've created by being up on top of this. We haven't really cleaned up here in maybe a good year and a half, maybe longer. Usually I try to get up there once a year with the shop vac, get any of the excess dust off. Just being in here now, I said you can see the ground. We're covered in dust. We're going to take another probably 15, 20 minutes. Ivan and I are going to sweep up, and then we'll get back to normal refinishing. We all know when you have a woodworking business or a paint refinishing business like I do, fire is your biggest fear inside your shop. Let me give you one little tip you should do every so often that I just noticed being near the chop saw. Sometimes these electrical panels, the little boxes, will have a little, a little bit of dirt behind them. You can see inside of there it gets sawdust. What we're going to do, take the caps off. We do this every once in a while as well in the problem areas. And I'm going to take the air hose and just slowly blow it out, because that buildup of sawdust and time and heat, it can cause a fire inside of these and be really, really bad for your business. So it's very simple. Look at that. It takes all of a matter of about 30 seconds to do that. I don't want to. I was just about to sweep up and saw that and realized this would be a good technique to teach all of you, any of you with a business like mine. Okay, we're back in the routine. As you can see now, this little coffee table that just had the little bit of damage, it's all repaired. I went around the whole thing, spun it. I found a few little chips that needed some color along the bottom as well. Figured it's here, let's get it done right. Customer won't take it back, and the homeowner may be upset. So I went around, checked the whole thing for damage. As I was doing that, we were going through this Cofemo chair, which is what I'm gonna kind of show you right now on the fourth piece. First thing I need to do is make up my color, get a little bit of the two colors that I did earlier on these pieces. Starting it a little bit light is what I kind of noticed was the best. I'm gonna just do, I don't know if it's visible in on the camera, but it has a little touch of red or orange to it in some of these highlights. So I went back and added just a touch of that. So now, same thing like yesterday, we're gonna try to touch up the lighter color first. We'll let this set up and dry. Oh, dang it, see? Messed up right there. I'll go back and let that dry a little bit. We'll sand it off. So you have to work carefully. And we do have a little bit of play with these because most of this is going to be covered by the T-nuts that hide it, that are holding the screws in place. This is what sets it apart from an Eames chair. Eames chairs don't have these little rings on it. It's just solid, rosewood plywood. So I said we're gonna just let that set up. I'll check down here too. So you can see right here on these edges, this is where it was blown out as well. This chair was loose for a few years. The customers thought it was a rocking chair, jokingly, and all it was is that two of these screws were loose. When they sat in it, it moved, which we got really lucky that it didn't snap and break, which that could have been really bad. Going around, I'm just kind of looking for any of that epoxy we made up. So I'm going to let that dry for a second, and then I will sand that off with a little bit of a sanding sponge. Let that dry. Come in here with the sanding sponge and just slowly hit that spot, just like that. Because your touch-up is just on the surface, so you don't really have anything to worry about on it. I'm just going to seal it in lightly. Once you add a little color, you can start seeing the touch-ups a little bit more. I'm going to turn it around, do the same on the other side, make up my color again. Just like with the epoxy, this stuff dries quick, so you don't want to make more than you need, or else you're just wasting money, throwing your profits kind of down the drain. You really don't want to do that. And so just make up what you need come back. Now this time I won't screw up. Ooh, I like this one better. This color was just slightly different. I like this one a lot better. This is even closer. So as I said, slowly just work it on just the areas that have the epoxy. We'll come back again after this dries, and we'll blend it in with a few different colors. So I noticed just right around this edge, sometimes when you round it, it takes a little bit more off and it exposes a little bit of the plywood. So we're just going through and just lightly blending it in. We're going to take a toner, and we're actually going to tone this edge anyways. But I just, I noticed that this made it easier for myself. Now you get a good view of this side. This is the side that we just did. I found a little spot over here. Kind of work my way around, check for any of these little light areas. Carefully, just keep playing with it. This is where you become an artist, is at this point in the process. And this is the hardest part to learn, honestly. This is, I still practice. I'm still learning new techniques that help me out here. New ways of colors. Sometimes I'll buy the wrong color for, on accident, and keep it here and realize, oh wait, this is perfect. I've been, where was this color 15 years ago? I'll do that every once in a while. But you only need 7 to 8 colors that you really need to make yourself a really nice touch-up kit. And I have all those colors labeled inside my book on reviveandrefine.com. We have we have all of that. So I'm going to just let this sit up another few minutes, seal it in, and then we'll come back. Okay, just like I do the Eames chairs, we're going to lay them down flat so I can spray them in unison and make sure that they all match throughout the toning and tinting process. But what we're going to do, I was doing that while we let this dry. A lot of times too, see how it's sitting flat? You really need to turn it up to the way it's going to be sitting on the chair, because the wood's going to highlight differently. And you can see here, what I thought looked really good down is actually a little too dark. So I kind of messed up a little bit, where I should have had it like this to begin with. So I'm going to come back again. Now we know we have the darker tones. Now we're going to come back a little bit lighter and see if we could feather that into place. So let's see what this does. So just slowly work on it. Let's play with it a little bit. So next we know we have that darker color undertones, which is good. Now we just have to kind of blend this in just a little bit. I always mention like this, it's harder to touch up light stuff, but this surprisingly has a lot of grain structure to it. So I think it's a bleached mahogany. So we have a little bit more room for, for blending in. And I just noticed here this edge is not, touched up either. So I'll have to add a little color to that. So which means the other side might be a little bit too dark as well. So we'll play with that. Let me flip it around, come to this side. How comes it coming back now? Yeah, I said same thing. This is a hair dark. So this is where your artistry comes in, though. You kind of blend in those areas. Yeah, this actually doesn't look too bad. You kind of play with it. Add a little bit of that color throughout to tie it all in. Because if you just keep these lines really tight like that, you're not going to get it to blend in evenly. You're going to try to faux it in. You notice that there's a darker spot here with the grain structure. You could play along with that too, knowing, okay, there's other darker spots that you can match to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different toner now. This one here will help kind of mute it and mask it just a little bit. Kind of hide some of that that grain structure. You notice now that I'm 90% happy with it. We'll see what it looks like when it's dry, and we'll come back onto this side, do the same thing. We're trying to not darken it up too much. We'll get a lot of pieces in this state. We could add a dark streak if it's rosewood. Use a different color, really hide it. But every pass of this color darkens up this light, mahogany, and you might have a dark halo here, which will be noticeable when we're done with the chair. So what we'll do is kind of hold it, bring it down to the level, because the chair's going to sit this low, somewhere in that region. And from this angle, that's where it's going to sit. It looks really good. I mean, even when you turn it a little bit, you can see it highlights. The highlights go away. It blends in from my angle here. Looks really nice. And same with this one too. By the time we do a little bit of toning work inside the spray booth, this will look great. So now I'm pretty happy with the touch-ups. I'm going to let that dry for a few. Let me take my mask, get that on real quick, because I'm going to spray a little bit. I'm going to turn on my spray booth as well, so that'll pull in some of the fumes while I'm spraying. Come back, shake it up. Oh, I forgot this too. I forgot this section. I know we're going to go super light on this one, so we're going to just use that blonde. I'll come up here and just add a little bit of color. We had to repair this whole section. So you're never going to see this. It goes up underneath the arm. There's a black metal mount that goes here. We'll hit this side as well. And right now when we tone it, you're going to see it's going to disappear anyways. But now we know that it's covered up. Now I can put my mask back on. Wrong can, this guy right here. Go around it carefully. Just like that. Good. I let that dry for just a minute. I'm going to come back, flip it over. Because every so often you could get just a little bit of overspray, or you miss a section right on these edges, because with the cans you can't get as good of a fan pattern, I guess you could call it. So I'm just kind of just do my evaluation, make sure I don't see any light edges along here. I see one little light one here. It's like right along this bottom. I could play with it just on the edge, mask that just a little bit. Like I said, you're never going to see this. It's going to be up underneath the chair, but I just like to have the knowing of that it's done perfect, it's done right. We're going to pick it up. I'm going to move it into the spray booth, and then we're going to make up a little bit of toner and spray it on. Welcome back into the spray booth. First thing I'm going to do is mix up a little bit of this color, which we're just going to try to richen it up. We're not making it darker or enhance it at all. It's all we're trying to do is make it look a little prettier. You see I didn't put much in there. So it's kind of one of our signature techniques that we use that not a lot of other refinishers do. A lot of people would just go straight into this, seal it, spray with a final, and it'll be done. By doing this added step, it's just going to take it to the next level. The restoration is going to look much better, and the customer is going to be even happier. While I was setting up in here too, I know we were talking earlier today about the HVLP guns, and that some of people are nervous that it's really expensive. Let me explain something to you. This is a backup gun that we have here. It's a company called AOM. It's a whole kit. It's the whole setup. I believe this, like I said, this is the gun that I've been using for 13 years. This one here cost me $100 on OfferUp instead of the $200 that I paid for it 13 years ago. So I said you can still find good buys. Go into pawn shops. I know pawn shops sell a lot of air compressors. Those would be a good thing to buy too. You could save 30, 40, 50% on the cost of your tools. So that if you're nervous about spending money, you don't want to spend money, you could always find this stuff at a better discount in other ways. We're all set up in the booth with the color, but what I want to show you is the chair laid down flat like we do all Eames and Plycraft style chairs. We lay them flat so we can inspect them and make sure that they're not faded, and when we're done, they're all even. What I see right now is just the center section of the ottoman is a little bit lighter than the rest. Not a big deal because it's going to be up underneath, shadowed. You're never going to see it, but it's just nice to know that we can even these tones out a little bit. This one here too, it's the seat bottom right here in the middle where the hardware goes, the base. It's also a little bit lighter, so we'll kind of even these tones out, richen them up, and then we'll hang them up, spray the front sides, and seal them all in, and get them drying. Let this tack up for a minute, inspect it in just a few minutes, and I think we're pretty good. We're pretty even. It looks really nice. We'll hang them back up, spray the front side just a little bit, and then seal it all back up. Do you know what this goes to? Let me explain what's going on. Today we have the infamous Eames chair break, and we got really lucky that this only pulled off the top layer of the plywood. You can see it here. It broke it off. This guy is going to go right back in this place, but we're going to repair and replace these shock mounts on all four corners. It's just once one goes, they're all going to go. And the customer was telling me a few years ago, it actually had the same break right down here in the bottom. Same exact location, same piece breaking off. So I said it's really lucky this happened twice to this customer and the arm didn't snap off. Usually we'll get these chairs, when they do that, I get quotes and emails, requests, that it'll snap the whole arm off in this section, and at that point it makes it impossible for me to fix. You can glue it, you can fix it, but I call it a time bomb. They could last 5 days, 5 months, it might last 5 years. Hell, it could last another 50 years, but I just don't like to work on those just for safety reasons. So we're going to dive into that, probably next week. We're going to show you how to do that, and I'm going to order the parts from Special K Products over on Etsy. Get those on order. They'll take about 5 days to get here, and we'll go from there. I have one more piece I want to show you that came in yesterday. Can you spot the difference with these two little nightstands? One of them we restored a few years ago. The other one just came in from auction. Client came to us and bought one of the one on your right, That one we restored. It was in the Hunt House out in Malibu for a show. The customer purchased it, then found the one here on the left, and it was, you can see it's in poor condition. The top is faded, the fronts are a little bit faded, nothing matches on it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a full restoration on this one here, and then we'll probably just do a cleanup. I see a few little scratch marks, maybe from shipping, some accidents happen. We'll do some repairs on the top of this one, and then by the end of this, both of these are gonna match. We're gonna let all these pieces dry overnight, and the next day or so, Ivan's gonna be stripping and sanding some furniture. We'll get back and show you what he's been working on, in the next video. Once again, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm glad that you're here. Let's help spread the word of furniture restoration, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.